idea. It's pretty raw, but I would love to hear your position regarding this. So I heard recently scientists talking about anti-energy, as in something that keeps existence expanding, as in something that could keep the wormhole open. And it resonated with me because I feel the same way when I clear a limiting belief back to zero, when I clear it back as in reverse to a place where it never existed. I feel that there is a huge expansion going on inside of me. And I felt that we can do something, we can return something to zero, thus creating this anti-energy inside of us and thus creating a real expansion. Is it possible to absolutely reverse the limiting belief, to bring it to zero as if it never existed? And does that create a real expansion? I would love to hear your opinion. Thank you.
Yes. And what you're referring to scientifically is what scientists call dark energy rather than anti-energy, although it has what you might call an anti-property since it works in an opposite function from what you'd consider to be regular energy. But you see, you're doing this all the time. You're zeroing out every moment. This is what happens when you shift billions of times per second from one reality to another to create the illusion of space and time. You're actually zeroing out every moment and allowing the thing that existed in another reality to simply not exist or ever have existed in your reality. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist at all. It just means that it never existed in the new reality that you've created, but it still exists in other realities that are simply no longer being experienced by you. So you're zeroing out all the time. But however you wish to look at it, however you wish to frame it, however you wish to use that process, is up to you to create the permission slip that works for your particular perspective and your particular expression of consciousness. So yes, the short answer is yes, it can be used that way.
Greetings, Bashar.
Good day.
Hi. I'm excited to talk to you about a few things.
Yes.
I've often pondered your sharing about Earth people assisting those on other planets in their awakening process.
Yes.
During my life, I've had experiences in the dream state on starships, so it is a topic that's very exciting to me. And I would like for you, if you are willing, to speak further about how that will unfold individually for people that are interested in experiencing that in the future.
Yes. Well, you will function as a kind of a vanguard for bringing humanity into the greater awareness of the fact that you're interacting with many beings already on that level, that you are part of a galactic family on different extra-dimensional levels. But all of this must, as we just said with the last person, begin to be realized in a way that allows it to trickle down into physical reality as an experience as well. But many people are establishing footholds and connections and links to other beings in other realities, on other planets, and so on and so forth, to establish a network and a connection and a relationship between the humanity of Earth and the beings of other worlds as well. So if you are part and parcel of that kind of an adventure, we thank you for your service in that way, and it will help accelerate the ability of people to choose to awaken to the probability that they can become physically part of a larger galactic family that they've already become part of on an astral level.
Thank you. That's so exciting. And
Yes.
Your answer also ties into my next question. What does a human being have to do to transcend death and achieve immortality in the physical body?
Have a reason for doing so, because in general, there's not a reason for doing so, because you have themes that you're exploring. And when you get to the end of that theme, you can change to another theme while still physical. But most people actually enjoy the break in between of going into spirit to have more opportunities, more probabilities to choose from, and they may decide that they would actually rather do something else other than remain physical. So the idea of being physically immortal while it's not impossible, is relatively unlikely just because of the various things that there are to choose from that might actually be more exciting. Now, many people on your planet can be much more long physically lived. That's fine. It's just that most people will actually not choose physical immortality unless there is a really good reason to do so. But generally speaking, people will find that the reasons they might choose to be immortal are actually better served by actually going back into spirit.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would enjoy having you tell us something new, lofty, exciting in our probable near future that we can focus on to assist in bringing it to full manifestation.
There will be an increase in sightings of what you call UFOs in the years to come, in the next decade at the most, leading up to the idea of solidifying the open window of contact. So look for more sightings, listen for reports of more sightings, and listen for the ones in particular. One moment. Listen for the ones in particular that seem to appear in areas that are connected to the concept of conflict, and see what that does to the people in the area witnessing those craft. That is all we are allowed to say.
Much appreciated.
Our appreciation to you as well.
Thank you.
Good day.
Good day.
Hello, Bashar. Thank you for taking my question. So I have a twin sister, and I am curious about what is, other than us sort of having the same DNA, what is unique about that may be different from other siblings that perhaps we can tap into or better connect with, or if there's any other significance to just, we have the same DNA. All right. I love you, Bashar. Thank you so much. Bye.
There is always a slight difference in the DNA, which is what makes you a different person than your twin, and vice versa. But that difference doesn't appear to be significant in the way that you gauge these things at this point in your science. Twins have exhibited, as many of you know, certain kinds of telepathic or psychic bonds because the similarity in your physical structure creates an ease to some degree, not that every twin takes advantage of this, but creates an ease to some degree of creating a similar vibration. Remember, telepathy or telempathy is the result of being on the same wavelength as someone else and having the same thoughts at the same time. You're not actually reading their mind, you're reading your own mind because you're on a similar wavelength, and thus on that frequency, you can only have certain thoughts that are germane to that frequency. So being a twin can enhance the idea of telepathy between you, because you're already physiologically so similar that the vibrational difference between you isn't so great that you can't easily get into sync with one another and have the same thoughts at the same time. That's one advantage of twinness. At the same time, there is a polar opposite to this idea. It allows you as seemingly, and I say this loosely, seemingly the same person or a similar person, to have different experiences and different vantage points that you can share with one another. So it would be like saying, well, what if I did this instead of that? So twins can actually allow you to follow two different paths and two different themes, but as an extension of the same oversoul, as if, well, what if I live that life instead of this life? And what if I live that life instead of this life? And then compare notes as if you had lived two lives simultaneously from the oversoul's perspective. Good day, good day.
Great day to you, Bashar. How are you?
Perfect, and you?
You're welcome. So to begin, I wanted to, I've been studying the Abraham teachings.
Yes.
And a lot of times they'll ask their questioners, do you believe that you're vibration and energy? And I can't ever say yes to that. So I was hoping that you might aid me in getting to know how I can get my mind to know that everything is made of vibration and energy, including me, like my mind knows how to pick up a pencil?
Well, have you studied even your own physical, scientific quantum mechanics?
I've tried, but it just goes over my head.
Well, take your time. But the idea in general is that everything is about resonance. Everything is about frequency. That's how you differentiate. Let's start at the beginning. Do you understand the concept that there is simply one unbroken, homogeneous existence?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
All right. Let me put it even more simply. Do you believe in cake?
Yes.
You're familiar with cake?
Cake, yes, that you eat?
Yes, cake.
Yes, yes.
Now, if somebody gave you a slice of cake and asked you, can you analyze, however you wish to, under a microscope or whatever, what the ingredients are that went into creating that slice of cake? Are you with me so far?
Yes, yes.
Does that seem like a thing that is relatively simple to do?
To analyze it all? No, not well, under a microscope, probably yes.
All right, thank you. And let's say you do that and you find, well, there is milk in here, and there are eggs in here, and there is flour in here, and there is chocolate in here, and there is sugar in here. And you find all these things and break it all down to those particular individual ingredients. Yes?
Yes.
You're with me so far?
Yes.
All right. Each of those things are made of atoms, yes?
Yes.
You understand that, yes?
Yes.
Well, what makes sugar different from chocolate?
I don't know.
Sure you do. It's made of a different arrangement of atoms, is it not?
Okay. I'll go with that.
Can you
Yes.
follow that? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
All
yes.
right. So a different arrangement of atoms is similar to the idea of a different frequency. It gives off a different vibration because it's a different arrangement of things. Just like red is electromagnetic energy, the same electromagnetic energy as blue, but it's operating on a different frequency that your senses perceive as what you call a different color. Are you with me?
Yes.
All right. So it's really no more complicated than that. One material from another is a different arrangement of certain things that you call atoms. One color from another is simply a different frequency, in much the same way that when you watch your television, you're watching one program and then you switch to a different program. Well, why don't those two programs interfere with one another? How can you see one clearly and then another that's different clearly without interference from the one you were watching a moment ago? It's all about a different frequency. It's like teeth interleaving between one another instead of trying to get into the same space at the same time. So that's all that's meant by different frequencies, different resonances, is just about whatever the material is, and you don't have to know what it is, that existence is made of, has different patterns of frequency and vibration, different ideas within it that create different experiences. And that's what creates everything, is those imposition of different patterns, different frequencies, different vibrations that allows you to perceive something as being different from something else, even though it's all made of the same thing. Is this helping?
Yes. Thank you.
That's all there is to it.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Make sense?
Yes.
Oh,
And the last thing I wanted to talk about was the ego.
Yes.
How can I've done the practices that you've talked about, like with writing a contract in order to get the ego to stop wanting to be so dominant in everything.
Yes.
And as I've been practicing the law of attraction with the Abrahams, it still seems to keep wanting to know the how of everything, so that dominant thought kind of overrides the other dominant thoughts
All
I've
right.
had. How can I go about? Yeah.
That's because you have a definition of that makes you think that it will actually help you when in fact it will actually hurt you. So the idea is that when the ego thinks it needs to know all how the mechanisms work and how this and what's going to happen and all the details, it's actually, shall we say, making itself more opaque to what's going on. It's actually slowing the process down by doing that. It's actually assuming it knows what the best outcome actually is when it doesn't. If you actually start relaxing that and give a different definition to that idea as something that would actually work against you and not allow you to move forward as quickly as you might like and not give you the actual best outcome, then once you associate that idea, that definition to the process, you will stop doing it, because you will realize that the ego simply has no capacity to know what the best outcome is, or that it really needs to know how things work, and that all these things are working towards slowing the process down and making things actually more murky for you.
Okay, so having a stubborn mind or a stubborn ego, is that a common thing that people have?
Well, the stubbornness, again, stubbornness comes from a definition that is out of alignment with who you truly are. So in other words, you're defining the stubbornness as it's got to happen this way or something will go wrong. You have to realize that that's just a story that your negative beliefs are telling you. You have to stop believing in that story.
So it's more about my beliefs, not my ego actually doing it.
It's always about your beliefs, because your beliefs color what your ego is capable of expressing itself to do.
Okay.
So go into the beliefs and say, stubbornness is just an insistence that if I let go of doing it this way, something worse will happen. That's a belief that the negative belief is trying to get you to buy into, so you won't let it go. This is how beliefs perpetuate themselves. The negative ones will use fear to perpetuate themselves. It's not malicious. It's just how they're structured, because if beliefs, both positive and negative and neutral, don't have a way of perpetuating themselves, then you can't have a physical reality experience, because physical reality isn't real. It's only the product of what you believe to be true. It's only the product of your focus. So the idea of buying into a negative belief, if you happen to have bought into it to begin with, is that the negative belief is going to continue to try and perpetuate itself by feeding you more negative fear-based beliefs, so you won't let it go. You have to understand that what it's telling you is not a fact. It's just a story to perpetuate itself, and that you can change the story and everything will be fine.
Gotcha.
Does that help?
Right. It does. Yeah. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a great day. And
so welcome.
thank you so much for your time. Bye.
Always.
All right. Thank you. Bye.